recording in progress.
Oh, you're so late.
Sorry,
You're too busy cracking knuckles. Sorry.
You're cracking knuckles, and those are recording in progress. And then I was like, David is not doing it this time. And then you like again, like the cadence and stuff was beautiful, but you were well off.
Oh yeah,
Look,
seconds out.
It's almost like I'm trying to stop you from doing it.
Okay.
Karen, I don't.
You go to hell.
Karen, I just like, what is your objection to this magnificent game where Dave mimics a robot woman, and I get very excited depending on his accuracy.
Magnificent.
Maybe it's just I'm missing out because I don't get to hear the robot woman while Dave does it.
Yeah, because like Dave gets to do it, I get to hear it. But and I understand that. What would be a way that we could actively involve you, Karen, that would make you? Did you hear my voice break?
Do you know, maybe
you could record.
You
could record the Zoom meeting one week.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, that would work. But then I wouldn't have control. I don't know if that would work. Otherwise, you know, I could always just come in a little bit later and leave you two to this moment.
Just 10 seconds, we'll record, and then 10 seconds you'll do like your entrance from where will you come from, your bedroom or the spare room or outside of the apartment,
or just like from the ceiling.
I like to think it'll be creepy, like I'll slide out from under the couch behind Dave.
Do you know what I'd like you somehow, if you can move that piano while you do it? I know we've established but if somehow like something happened and then like the piano was moving and then there was a Karen, like I would appreciate that.
I'll find a way.
Paranormal lack of activity.
But sorry I ruined your life.
You did it.
Look, I think that might be a bit much, Karen. I think it's fine, guys. We're all friends here. And what do we do? So we're doing favorites. We're on favorites again.
Favorite number two.
Favorite number two, Dave's favorite, which was what,
Dave, what's your favorite? Although, like Sophie last week, you're not technically doing your actual favorite.
Because we've already watched it.
It's a favorite. Mm-hmm. It's a favorite, and the favorite is the thing. Not a thing, the thing, which is a favorite.
A favorite, the thing.
The Thing, which is the 1982 film as opposed to the 2011 prequel film by the same name for some reason.
Which I will watch because I've now heard good things, and I could watch that tonight when I've had
solid bit of gear. It's a solid bit of gear that maybe it's good enough that it deserved its own name.
Yeah,
like The Thing before The Thing. The Thing can't be The Thing 2 because that comes after. That's the sequel.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it
because I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't be able to contribute.
But it fulfills so many promises of the first film. It's very, very reverent of the first film. I would say appropriately so.
Okay.
And what we had a nice time this week, Sophie, because we decided, having seen The Thing, the 1982 one, so many times, we decided we would do like a kind of double feature, but we did it over Wednesday and Thursday night. So Wednesday night we watched the 2011 The Thing prequel, and then we watched The Thing for today last night. But it was the first time I've seen them both. You've seen them both, but it was the first time we'd seen them kind of back to back, and it is just so cool the way that even the set design and stuff in the prequel is so much attention to detail for the 1982 one that it was nice. There were some things that kind of spoiled it for me, the 1982 one, watching it second, but we'll come to that. But ultimately, I think the newer one gets a really trash review, which is a little bit unfair.
Okay.
But if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, whatever,
I do not trust anyone on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like there are so many movies that I really love, and I think that they are objectively great movies. And it's like a bunch of people went, I didn't like it. I've got a problem with Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, so that's the thing. On Rotten Tomatoes, the one that Dave loves, like the 1982 one, amazing reviews, absolutely amazing reviews. The prequel gets tanked, but Dave's he thinks it may be suffering from mega fans going, I can't believe you would do this.
Well, it's going to be compared to the original.
For sure.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get on to
The Thing.
The 1982 Thing with Kurt Russell, big Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell and his beard.
Oh, I fucking love his beard.
And his long hair.
His hair is luscious.
It's great.
Luscious in that movie.
It's great.
His hair is luscious, yeah. I feel like, Dave, maybe you can guide us through The Thing.
So we start the film.
But can I tell? So before you start with the film, when did you first see The Thing, and like generally just give us like why you love it so much.
Why do you love the thing, Dave?
So I associate the film. So when I was a little kid, like when I was maybe 7 or 8, I used to go to a ninja class where I would learn to be a ninja.
Was it some kind of martial art, or was it specifically called ninja class?
I think it must have been some kind of ninja
Were you a turtle?
martial art. I was not a turtle, but Ninja Turtles were very big at the time, and I'm sure that they were running a business and they were attracting said business, and they did it with the word ninja.
I love it. Great.
There was a Korean flag on the wall. I'm sure maybe one of the viewers can impute what particular martial arts it was. I don't know.
Well, look, I used to go to a martial art that had a South Korean flag on the wall, and it was Taekwondo. Did you do Taekwondo?
It wasn't Taekwondo because there were lots of weapons, and there was also lots of funny stepping. Like there was funny like stealthy stepping and things.
So that's why we have your sword here.
Yeah. So I've still got one of the. I have a short sword that I
Dave accidentally, when we moved to Australia, shipped his ninja sword from when he was a kid in the US to Australia. So that is here.
Oh my God, Dave, you've been importing weapons?
Anyway,
and this is now on the internet. Anyway, sorry, Dave, continue.
Yeah, so I used to be
a ninja?
I used to go to a ninja class.
I used to be a ninja.
And it would fall on a Friday.
Yeah.
And every so often, Friday would also accompany, I'm sure I could go back in time and figure out which Halloween it was, but Friday fell like round about Halloween. Well, that's usual. There's usually a Friday round about Halloween, I guess. So there would be a Friday night movie on the TV. So I'd been at ninja class, and we get a pizza and take the pizza home after ninja class, like ninjas of old.
Dave,
the turtles, the fucking turtles. You're making.
I love this story. So this story has everything I've always dreamed. Like, please keep going.
And so I got back, and so because we'd been out of the house. When I got back, my dad had come home from work, and he was sitting watching a movie, and it would be like a Friday night movie.
So you joined him with the pizza?
Yeah, come in with the pizza, and everyone has a slice of pizza. And Jacqueline, my sister and my mum, they didn't watch, but me and my dad would sit and watch the movie, like the Friday night movie. And round about Halloween, I remember one year it was The Blob, which didn't make such an impression on me, but one year it was The Thing. And there are scenes from this movie that are just emblazoned on my hippocampus and have been since the first time I saw them happen. So I guess it made an impression on me at the time. And as I grew up and as I came to love movies, I've my love for this movie has grown.
Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah, and I like it. Sounds real. I love it. Good.
But yeah, I feel like I made a promise with the ninja stuff that was not fulfilled. I didn't ninja kick anyone in the living room. I didn't kick a piece of pizza and.
What a waste of pizza or a person if you're just gonna be kicking.
Well, that's true.
You did the right thing.
So how old were you when you saw this film?
So it would have been, I guess, 7 or 8.
Oofed.
That's maybe inappropriate.
Yeah.
That's probably fine.
Okay.
All right. So
I was being taught to use ninja weaponry.
It's true. The Thing was the least of your problems.
So film opens with a spaceship crashing, which is a great way to start a movie.
It definitely crashes.
And it also starts with Kurt Russell losing at chess to a computer.
I loved it. I was like, so I have seen The Thing a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then because I think every time it's like, I think I've seen this, but I can't remember the last time. I reckon I watched this one around Christmas with JP because there were too many things that were too familiar, and I definitely haven't watched it by myself recently. But then before, I probably maybe seen it a few times, and when he lost it, I cackled a little bit. It's a nice. I forgot how gross it was. Anyway, sorry, I digress, Dave.
But yeah, and I love the computer moments, and I also love it's a 1982 film set in 1982, and
they're all drinking all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you do on this Antarctica station, you terrible scientist?
The answer is what I would do.
Drink and play chess poorly.
Also, important to acknowledge from the start of this film, ultimate sausage fest. Not a single woman
No
in
women.
this film
No.
at any point. Not a single woman. It's all men isolated in Antarctica. And we start with Kurt Russell, who seems like a leader, although is not the leader of the group.
No,
but
he's
like,
just
but
a helicopter pilot.
he's just a helicopter pilot,
Shack.
an
Anyway,
amazing
sorry.
beard, and a very dominant
I'm
personality.
not sure why he has his own shack.
No.
That's maybe...
This is the thing where I was like, what research station is this where like people are just getting pished all the time and this man has his own shack and he spends his time playing chess against
So maybe the helicopter pilot is like maybe he's like an appointed member of staff and he's there all the time, as opposed to maybe the scientists rotate in and out. So maybe he's got some privileges because he's got like
his, his
a more
little
dedicated
house.
job.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, sure.
Something like that.
Yeah, but
So he loses at chess to a computer and pours his whiskey into it, which provides us with you're right there.
yeah, I'm just like slipping off my table.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
did a
real
great
big.
job.
I've only got this much space and I wasn't paying attention.
So yeah, we've just got basically some scientists and some Antarctic personnel passing the time.
Yeah, there's some pool going on. There's maybe some cars. I don't know.
It's like a
but, like,
life of
they've got-
leisure they're leading.
They've got a little rec room. And what I really like about the thing, we don't really know. We never know what they were actually doing there, but we only see them passing the time
It's like,
because...
well, yeah, what is your science job, mates?
Yeah. So we are landed into this team with no clue why they're there, but because some crap is happening and there's a helicopter approaching them.
With not one, but two medical experts. Yeah. Oh yeah, so a helicopter appears.
I find that bit very upsetting.
And they're shooting.
Obviously they explain after why they're like,
yeah.
It is explained why they're shooting a dog, but I was like, why are you shooting at the fucking... Like, the first time I saw it, I just remember being like, what are these psychopaths doing? What? This poor fucking dog.
It's such a beautiful dog. Such a beautiful
dog. I just wanted to... Anyway, sorry, Dave.
But what a great weird opening to a film.
Yeah.
Like you
what
imagine...
the fuck is happening?
Yeah, like I don't think the first time I saw this film, I wouldn't have seen the start of the film. But like, imagine going to the movies and seeing the start of this film where there's a helicopter shooting at a dog. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why do you hate huskies?
It was gorgeous. Sorry.
So they're shooting at a dog from a helicopter. The dog runs into this American station in Antarctica and runs up to some of the people and is like, hey, I'm a dog. I'm being shot.
A dog. Some guy was shooting me. The dog jumps up and then is jumped up for a long time. Doesn't get down.
The dog is creepy, and we'll get to that.
Oh yeah, the dog is like my favorite actor in this, but we will definitely get to that.
We'll get to that. So Norwegians land the helicopter, and Norwegians get out of the helicopter, and Norwegians are saying something in Norwegian, which is like, that dog's not a dog, probably.
Here's the thing about that dog.
Not a dog.
Step away from the dog.
Yeah, but we don't know. All they're saying is something in a different language.
One of them pulls the pin on a grenade and does a very bad job by throwing it behind him.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was very cold, I guess.
It's kind of like your hands are like numb, and then you realize you try to do a thing, you fumble, and you throw a grenade almost at yourself.
And at your means of transport. So helicopter goes, one of the Norwegians goes, and then we've got last of the Norwegians.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot dogs still, wandering around this camp, and nobody knows what's going on. So someone like busts out a window and shoots him in the face.
Yeah, but first of all, he shoots
one of the Americans.
Oh yeah, by accident, he shoots him in the leg.
Because the dog is hanging out with the American crew, and so he shoots an American in the leg. And seems crazy. Understandably, the Americans go, this is wild. So the Americans shoot him. So now
the Americans, who are unsurprisingly armed.
Yeah. Yes. The Americans do best. They shoot back. They've got guns everywhere all the time, and they shoot back.
And it seems shoot to kill, therefore cannot possibly find out.
He was charging around the camp, shooting stuff.
I know,
like,
but
nobody knows
cannot find out any further information.
Because they shoot him in the eye, don't they? They shoot it's like a square right in the fucking eyeball. Yeah. But they were not aiming for the knees. They were not aiming to disarm and disable. They were just like right in the eye hole. Yeah.
Right in the eye face.
So Big Kurt comes out to find out what the jazz is, right?
No, I can't remember exactly, but Norwegian is dead.
Yeah.
He is dead. He got shot in the eyeball.
Got shot in the eye face, and so then we move
But then
on.
there's also, you've got some people run out because they've got even though we are in Antarctica in the snow, that helicopter is on fire. I mean, we got to put it out. So
we put out the helicopter. Yeah, that's
a
important.
few people, they run out. They pull an eye hole.
So then we're basically back in the base, and it becomes a case of, well, we need to report this because some crazy Norwegians came in. Are we at war with Norway? What's going on?
Yeah.
And there's a man roller skating around the base, which is enjoyable.
I love it. Yeah.
Story.
I can't think of a reason why he would be doing this.
Quicker than walking.
Make life interesting. Why not? Like,
why would you walk when you could glide? It's not rhetorical.
I just wanted to leave it there for as long.
Tell me why you would walk when you could glide.
I walk when you could glide. End of the podcast.
That's right. Recording stopped.
It's a case of reporting this mess. So we're trying to get people on the radio. We can't get people on the radio. We can't tell anyone what's happened. We don't know why Norway's happened. And meanwhile, the dog is just wandering around the base. Willy fucking nilly.
Yeah.
Touching everything with its dog face.
With his dog face.
And we've got the dude that got shot. He's okay, but like he gets some stitches. So we establish some of the medical officers in the base. We've got Big Kurt that keeps referring to Norwegians as Swedes, I believe, which everyone keeps correcting, but no, they're definitely Swedes. That's different people, he keeps getting told. And then they decide that they're going to have to go out. So like we've got, because we've got Windows, right? We've got that is Russell wannabe
character name. Windows is the most distracting character because every time this is Windows, I just think of like the operating system.
Exactly. Also because when he's referred to as Windows, he's messing about in a computer. Because he's trying to get in touch with other people, but there's a storm coming in. We've hit winter in Antarctica. But one of my favorite things about Windows, Sophie, and I don't know if you noticed this too, but like you just see that character as like a Kurt Russell or a Mac, so Mac in the film wannabe, because he's got a similar look, but it's like instead of the luscious locks, it's more curls, but he's got his shades on and stuff, so it's like it's almost like version. Yeah, exactly. So Mac is like the cool dude that's in charge, and Windows is just the little shittier version. No offense to the actor or whatever, but it's just there's such similarities between
Windows wants to be a Mac operating system.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna say that's thanks to 3 shots of gin at this stage.
Recording stopped.
Oh dear Lord. So
let's go step off the balcony now. Am I done?
You're done.
You're done. You're finished. You're finished. Done.
Sorry.
You've explained the thing to everyone.
Finished. So. I mean Norwegian.
It's really a war of operating systems.
So we established that it's really hard to contact others. There's the storm's coming in. It's going to be difficult to do whatnot. But
they're going to go check on the Norwegians.
Exactly. Like Norwegians got out in a helicopter. Like they're both dead. They tried to shoot up a dog. They've obviously gone like a little bit nuts. So it's like, shall we go check if they're okay? Because they don't seem to be doing okay.
And is it the medical officer that's really pushing for doing this?
No, it's the leader guy. The leader guy is like, we're gonna go do it. The leader guy who shot Norwegian man in the face. Yeah. He's like, go check on them. And so medical guy and McCready go in the helicopter and they go off to the base. And it's in tatters.
It is in disarray for sure.
It is in bits. It is entropic.
Exactly. They arrive and you go, something bad has happened here, I think.
Yes. So there's not really any flames left. There's just kind of bits of debris everywhere. They go in and they find papers everywhere and evidence of fires and destruction and an axe that's been hewn into a wall. It's just a mess, really. So what did
they find? A corpse outside.
Well, they find a big ice block.
Yeah, but
it's like missing. It looks like it looks like a bath made of ice.
And what I love when they see that ice block was, so I don't know if you noticed, but the music when they're in that section is so like alien. it's the string section-y stuff.
Mm.
And so they're looking at this ice block and it's string section, creepy alien type music, which is just so good.
Very effective.
Yeah.
So
Very
good.
effective.
Like it's like, because all they're looking at is like, it's like a big, like it's a rectangular prism with like a whole bit melted out or chipped out of the middle, and yet it's like very foreboding.
Yeah.
Because it's just there, the way that it's illuminated with the music. You're like, this is not, we're literally just looking at a block of ice. This is bad.
But it's scary. It's a scary block of ice.
So we find a guy who's cut his own wrists and his neck.
Oh, so
Presumably
yes.
in
So
that order.
I had a question for Dave with that one, because I just thought that was so wild, because I was kind of like, you've seen, I mean, I guess even in your favorite film last week, Sophie, like the slit wrist thing, but usually it's the wrist and then stop. But we see this corpse where it's not just wrists with the frozen blood dripping,
The frozen
throat
blood
as well.
And
And I was like, Dave, do people cut their own throats? Because that seems wild. And he's like,
I mean, I guess if you want to get it done right, you're just like, I'm doing this. This is taking too long. Literally, let's skip all of the major everythings and just get this over with.
Yeah.
it just seems quite bold.
It was not a cry for help.
No, it was not. But yeah, the imagery of it is just there, and it's like the frozen, like blood
and the
icicles.
razor, the cutthroat razor. It was very, very well done. So
And they're finding documents as well, but of course can't understand any documents because
and this kooky
it's
language.
that Swedish Norwegian-y type thing.
Yeah.
Those
right?
standees with their crazy characters.
So we find those things, and then we find a weird corpse outside that we can't quite identify whether it's man or what it is. So they bundle it up.
We take it back with us.
Take it back with them. Because it's got a face, basically. It's like it's got a face. So let's have a look at it. So bundle it back. Back they go to the ice station, zebra or otherwise, and they order an autopsy of this thing. This thing which has got kind of two mangled men's faces together, which is very,
bit off-putting, isn't it?
It is. And then we hack it open and have a look at its organs, which are all normal apparently, apart from the fact that it's got two weird faces. We have the first of two lingering shots on Blair, one of the medical or scientific officers. Face,
Blair.
a bit like
crazy Blair. Yeah.
I love the Blair and end scene. So that happens twice, but it's like you end a scene, move to a totally different bit with Blair being like, my expression says it all. And that's one of them, of like, this is wild. But I have no words. I have no words.
So meanwhile, everyone basically goes to bed. The dog is wandering around free at this point.
Gallivanting, or something.
Gallivanting. And we see the dog wander into someone's room, and there's a silhouette on the wall that turns around, and we don't see who it is.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. That's such a good scene. It's like the dog's just like wandering. You're like, what's this dog getting up to? And then like goes in and like clearly sees this person. It's just silhouette. And you're like, there is a reason we've been shown this dog with this silhouette. I think there's something wrong with that dog.
Yes. So the dog is creepy.
It's really creepy.
And the dog basically, basically the dog gets stuck in the kennel because the dog's wandering around randomly, willy-nilly.
Take it back to the kennel.
And while they're all like, just passing the time, he's getting under people's legs.
It's like such a chill life. And I'm like, why are you in Antarctica? What are you even here for? You could do this at home. But so he gets taken back by, interestingly, so Clark is played by, and I've forgotten the name of the guy, but you know how, so in November, we're potentially going to do a favorite child horror movies.
Yeah.
And my favorite child, I won't spoil it yet, but he was in that, but this is like a terrible Disney straight to TV movie. And it was only 4 years after The Thing was filmed, and I just feel like that was the beginning of the downfall of his career. Anyway, sorry, continue.
There you have it. But the actor's name is Richard Masur.
Thank you. I know I always like the Richard. I sometimes remember, never the surname. Anyway,
but he's an interesting character because he, like the dog, even he's quite creepy just because he's clearly more comfortable with animals than people, and even like like he was clearly very, very protective of the dog from the start, and not understanding the Norwegians going for it because it's like the dogs are more important than people. That's the general impression you get from this dude. And so he's clearly the dog's carer.
The dog handler.
So essentially it's like, right, well, there's a dog. Why is this still kicking about? Take it back. So he, in his very stoic, quiet manner, escorts creepy dog to the kennels to be with the other dogs, who are all just like chilling, having a nice relaxing time, sleeping.
And they do such a good job here, like the filmmakers. So this dog wanders in and sits down and then stares at something in the middle distance, kind of up a bit. And I have to believe that they did this on purpose, like gave the dog something to look at, because like the dog
it's so good.
is doing such a good job of looking like something pretending to be a dog.
It's so good. It's so good. It's like one of the creepiest scenes, because you've got these other dogs around it that they're cut into. So you rarely see our creepy dog, the one that's not actually a dog, with the other dogs. So they're clearly taking these scenes separately, I would imagine, and cutting them together. But you've got some other dogs lounging and clearly having nice, relaxed dog behavior. Yeah. And then this one kind of, I don't know what to do with myself in here. And then,
I'm not a real dog and I don't know what dogs do. Yeah, it's very good.
And they're only left for a very brief moment, or certainly in what we see, and suddenly our scary dog is not quite what it seems.
It's not really quite a dog. And this is the first of kind of 2 or 3 really, really gross set pieces.
And this is the thing, it's I've forgotten how gross this movie is. It's like the dog turning into the weird thing monster, just a grotesque, like so fucking revolting, that I was like, I am glad I ate dinner first, because I'd forgotten how fucked it was.
Its face does this. Its face does that.
And then it gets these creepy tentacly things
tendrils
that go out.
And they're all they're so wriggly. They're so wriggly. Oh.
And the tentacly things start grabbing the dogs in the kennel. And then, you see that panic of that poor dog that's trying to break through. And it's biting at the cage going, I need to get a hold to get...
Yeah, like, this is, let me out. Yeah.
And some of them are caught already. There's some like weird... alien-y goo spat at some of them. It's just
a disaster.
Very quickly, these dogs are caught up in this and are starting to understandably yelp, cry, and weird noises are happening. So back to our
and it's a puppet, right? Yeah. You can see that it's a puppet, but it's such a fucking gross puppet.
Such a fucking gross puppet. Like
and
that. Exactly.
I'm glad it's a puppet, because even though there's parts of this film that haven't aged so well, it's still really...
I'm a big fan of like a puppet, like an animatronic. It's just like, if anything overseas, because it's like, unless you invest a lot of money, your CGI is going to look like a bad computer game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I am more, it's like, I want like...
I agree,
yeah, any puppet, but like it was, fuck.
And it did the job, and even, as I say, I've seen this so many times, and I still had jump scares and bits where I'm like, no, I don't like this, and this bit, like, I really feel for the puppies, the poor puppies.
Poor puppies
get
grappled at and absorbed, and so Clark kind of figures out something's wrong. He goes to check.
The dogs are screaming for help. The ones that are still dogs.
McCready also hears this and hits the fire alarm, so he wakes everyone up. And sends Childs to get the flamethrower, because he knows something bad. Somehow instinctively knows that something very bad is happening.
Get the fire gun.
Yeah, we need the fire.
Something's happening that might need to be killed with fire. Yeah. Let's maybe kill it with fire.
And Childs is like, seriously? But he's going for it. He's doing it. He does it.
Yeah. So we go and have a look at the thing. Basically, everyone comes together. It's higher stakes than I'm making it sound like, but everyone goes to have a look at it.
Well, because the other thing is like, when Clark goes through, he opens the door.
And the dog is just like pissed off over him.
A couple of the dogs manage to escape, but we don't know how close they've been to alien-y thingy dog. but he's sort of like, what the hell, takes a step back, kind of closes the door, but it's still all chaotic in the dog kennel. And then one by like all of the crew members start to, as you say, coalesce around this. Apart from Childs is there later, but they're all kind of in like shock seeing this, and no one really knows what to do about it. And then there's things like it reaches up, some hands come out of the monster to reach up to the ceiling as if to pull it out. So like there's just so many limbs in this thing of different like species as well. Clearly we have got the hands and whatnot. And yeah,
it's just so gross.
It's not cool.
It's gross and unsettling.
It's very unsettling. Yeah. That's a very good word.
As it starts to try and clearly make its escape and reach up, that's when Childs comes in. It's like, seriously, flamethrower,
set fire to this.
What are you doing? So they manage to set it alight.
And we do, and it gets set on fire, and then they extinguish it. And then we have a good hack at it. And this is where we kind of, the explanation comes out. So they kind of work out that this animal is imitating other animals, like it's imitating perfectly these things, and it's been interrupted in the process of imitating the dogs. And if it had been left to do its thing, then you would have had 3 or 4 completely normal looking dogs, except they would all be this thing, which is trying to assimilate all the other things.
It's just, and that like even the scene of when they cut it, and it's like it's just everything about it is just, this movie is gross from like then on. I feel like that was the first proper gross, and it's just I don't want that to be like dismissive. It's very good, but it is that's the beginning of the descent into disgusting.
Yes, it's gross. It's very committed to its grossness.
And then they've made this discovery, but they've also been looking at these Norwegian records that somehow they're understanding now, but ultimately through that, because they've got recorded footage taken from the Norwegian site, and they've also got like some maps and all this other stuff. But from looking at the footage, they discover that obviously the Norwegians found something.
Yeah.
And so what they decide, even though it's winter and still the weather conditions are not great, Big Mac decides, no, we're going to go out and we're going to find out what the hell's going on. So they go to this, essentially an excavation site that the Norwegians had, to see what's going on. Because then I think they in the videos, they clearly see that the Norwegians have found something massive.
Yeah.
So they get in the copter again, and it's Mac and who goes with him? I can't remember. But a couple of folk. People go with him.
A couple of people go with him.
Norris important. So they go to this excavation site, and it's a partially buried alien spacecraft.
Yeah, it's like a fuck off huge like alien spacecraft, half buried in the ice.
Yeah. As you do, Antarctica hides everything, and nearby they also have that, not within the space craft area, but nearby they have the block of ice where presumably something. So there's a block of ice being cut, and Norris makes some claims about how long something could be hidden in Antarctica, which very, very long time.
But yeah, based on the something, it's been there for like over
the backscatter. They talk about the backscatter effect, which I'm not familiar with, but it's presumably something to do with the cycling of ice.
I'm going to Google it.
Sure.
Keep talking. I'll listen.
Yeah, so they find this thing in the ice. They don't go inside it, but they have a good look at it, and it's a bit of a mess, as before.
And then
cover and microwave backscatter from sea ice. The intensity of sound reflected off the sea floor indicates the backscatter is just like a reflection of waves. I don't know. Anyway, maybe it's because I'm device. I did a bad job Googling very quickly. I can't multitask. We can deal with it later.
But meanwhile back in the US base, so we have two key medical science officers and an additional one. So we've got Blair, we have Fuchs,
Yeah.
who's assisting, and we have Copper, right? That's the three sort of more medically sciencey ones. But Blair's the one that's been doing the autopsies.
Oh, the cutting.
And Blair starts having issues.
He's so this is where we have some computer storytelling.
Oh my god. So Sophie, this is my favorite bit.
I'd forgotten about this bit. I was like, wouldn't it, like, imagine that, just that computer that can literally predict the fucking future by whatever information.
So Sophie, as a statistician watching this film, my first joyous moment earlier in the film, which doesn't even get covered because why would it? But then there's the Monty Hall problem, you know, where you've got the 3 doors to select. So they're watching.
And then when they say there's the donkey's not behind that door, and then
So I was like,
yeah.
So that happens, and I get a little giggle because, you know, studying stats, we get taught that problem, and I'm like, oh, Dave, it's the Monty Hall problem, and Dave's like, yes, it is, Karen. Let's concentrate on the film. My next absolute favorite bit as a statistician that does modeling and considers probabilities and risk is when, oh my god, it's so good, is when, so Blair starts to get really worried. Blair's done this autopsy and sees that, you know, we've had that second scene where Blair makes a face because he's really worried, but like Blair starts to get really concerned because, you know, the thing has tried to become the dogs, but what else has the thing maybe tried to become? So then we're looking at Blair with his computer with little cell blobs floating about in his computer, which I love.
Yeah.
And then the alien host becomes that, and then so that these blobs are all floating about his screen. So Sophie, no mathematics, no data, no clear assumptions, no distribution, no models, no nothing, right? But with these pictures of little blobs, some amazing probabilistic findings come out.
They really do. Yeah.
Which make me cheer because I really wish my job was as easy as watching blobs float about, or else maybe like they had better programs in the 80s than we have these days.
Maybe all that technology got lost in Antarctica, and this is based on a true story, and that's why we're behind in terms of our modeling.
So what I love was, so the first thing is he's trying to work out the probability that one of the crew members has been infected.
Yes.
But without, and I think that's a very good thing to try and work out, but there's no like, what are your parameters? Who's been near the dog? All that kind of stuff. But like, so without any data or clear assumptions, he works out that there's a 75% chance.
75% chance that someone,
a person
members has
become a thing.
A nice round number.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is a very nice round. Yeah.
It's not 89.5%.
If you read that in a paper, in a scientific, like in like a peer review journal article, you go like,
But also,
75.
Sophie, you know, the statistician in me is like, where's your confidence intervals? There must be error around this. Where are your error bars?
Yeah,
what is this? So, but anyway, we've got this point estimate of 75%. So I'm like, okay, I'll go with this, whatever. Yeah. And then the next thing that this amazing computer program has is the ability to determine what will happen if the thing gets off the site and what will happen to the global population. This is amazing, Sophie, and I want this to.
I mean, I would say that what they're actually modeling is a chaotic dynamical system, which is deterministic but unpredictable. And I would say they make a prediction about this, which I would disagree with from a dynamical systems point of view.
That's a very
all the statistics. Let's get into dynamical systems.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Everything a little bit wrong.
Yep. But anyway, they try somehow to have these problems. But whatever happens with looking at blobs, Blair has a bit of a meltdown because these numbers are much higher than is acceptable.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think as well, even without these numbers, like, so ultimately, if you were to remake this film, I would just do away with all of this and just have him thinking about what would happen. I really do not think you need these weird statistics that come from nowhere. But it's a way of allowing him to be on his own without, like, speaking aloud or whatever. It's a way of illustrating to the audience.
It's
This
just
is
a way of
scary.
raising the
Yeah.
stakes.
No, and I get it, and I will allow it, but
It should make sure it does raise the stakes. You're like, oh fuck, 75%. Oh fuck, if they go up, the world's ended. We're all doomed. You're like, shit. Best not let this get out then.
So it's unsurprising that Blair has some issues.
Yeah,
Blair has some issues. So
Yeah.
Blair takes some things into his own hands. He destroys the radio.
Yeah.
He destroys the helicopter and the sleds that would enable them to escape, because he's basically isolating them there so that no one can get away and spread the thing. Or so
realistically, like, he's doing the sensible thing, but it seems a bit unhinged to his colleagues.
Absolutely. And then, so at this point, we know that someone's a thing because they come up with a test, which is to mix some blood, some uncontaminated blood, with some blood from each person. And if there's a reaction of some kind, then they'll be able to watch the cells assimilating, presumably, so you can figure out who's a thing. But someone sabotages the blood. So we know there's a thing.
You go to the blood stores and there's no blood. It's all
even before that point, there has been the bloodied long johns that have been found in the kitchen area that comes out as a bit of a, like, rather than, this is sort of way earlier, and rather than being part of this kind of story, it's a bit like, God, you dudes are not looking after yourselves, and why would you leave your crap in the sink, kind of thing. So there was a precursor to something weird going on because someone had abandoned their long johns in the kitchen area or something. And then we have this point where, they're like, how do we determine then? Let's speak to our science officers. How do we determine what is alien and what's not? And they're like, I think we can do it using blood samples. So because these blood samples are in storage, we know that no one's been infected. So these are our healthy samples to compare the
control blood.
These are our controls to compare the alien sample to.
So then this kind of leads us to two iconic scenes. So basically, at this point, there's a bunch of jiggery pokery about who's a thing and who's not. And some people die and some people get suspected, etc. But basically, we get to a point where there's a kerfuffle. There's a kerfuffle, and people are falling out, and people are going for weapons, and everything's happening. And Norris falls down, apparently with a heart attack. So they're trying to revive him. And this is this
before or after the med Blair gets locked up? Is this still during all of that scene?
Blair may have been locked up by
because
I think he's been locked up by that.
Because Blair basically is trying to, like, shoot all of them because he can't trust anyone. So he's been locked away.
They put him in a shed.
But they still don't know who's what. And you're right, Norris, very unsuspecting. We've been very worried about particularly Clark, because he's been so close to the dogs.
Hanging out with the dogs.
And also, who's the dude that was the one with the gun at the start? The leader dude.
The in charge guy. Gary.
Is that Blair?
I think it might. No, Blair's the medic. So it's either Palmer or Bennings, I think.
I swear his name was Gary.
It is Gary. You're right. So
Gary's Donald Moffat.
Yeah, he was in the Waltons.
So like
TV show.
They've got two people that are behaving weirdly that they think might be it. They don't think it's Windows, because Windows during the Blair escapades he's been attacked. He's had his head bashed by Blair, and he's having a terrible time. So he's a bit out of it anyway. So they're like, it's not you. But they're trying to work out who's problematic here. And I think even Childs is one of the three. So they were worried about Childs, they were worried about Gary, and they were worried about Clark. But in all of this, and all this kerfuffle, you're absolutely right, Norris collapses.
From a heart attack. And the medic goes to revive him. And this is the scene. This is the scene from when I was a young kid that is emblazoned on my mind forever, where we go to defibrillate Norris and his hands go into his chest because his chest has turned into a giant mouth that bites off the doctor's arms. Like, My tiny mind could not conceive that this was a possibility.
No. I don't
Like-
think your tiny mind is the problem. I think most people's minds, Dave, wouldn't go like, what's going to happen next? Oh, he's going to split in half with teeth. It's
Yeah,
just-
exactly. Like, I mean, you watched it at 7 or 8. I watched it when I was aged, 19 with you? I didn't expect this to happen.
No, you don't.
What a great moment.
It's very good, but yeah, it's definitely surprising.
Yes, fantastic. So his arms get bitten off.
The head makes an escape, which oh my God, the head. I love all of this. And I'm not saying it's the best done because again, we're dealing with these models, but still, as you're saying, Sophie, I think it still ages better than had they tried to do like computer graphics or whatever. But like, while the arms are cut off, everyone's freaking out. The head, the neck and the head of Norris starts to escape and become its own thing because we've established that this thing is not just like a whole entity. Like different parts you can break off and it still exists. So the head makes a break for it. The head breaks off.
Yeah, the head makes a run for
it. It becomes a spidery,
it's
spidery head, which is also really terrifying, and it's brilliant with it.
Very upsetting for sure.
Arachnophobic, alien, weird grossness. Brilliant.
And we get this beautiful, you gotta be fucking kidding moment. And before we set it on fire.
Yeah, set everything on fire because this is horrendous.
So that's first iconic scene of the film, I would say. Like fucking just absolutely.
Oh no,
fantastic.
I mean I still feel the first iconic scene is the dog blob, but I see your point.
But yeah, this is
I
like
see
when
your
the
point
head
that this
coming
is
off. It's just it's fucking fabulous. And it leads us almost directly into the second iconic scene of the film because what's happened with the head gives McCready the idea that every part of the animal is a whole, that it will that it will behave to defend itself. So he comes up with this idea of they draw blood from everyone and then stick a hot needle into it. Obviously, it's
isn't it with his fucking flamethrower or something?
Obviously.
Like heats the end of it, but it's so good because it's like it's so tense. The idea of like someone with a hot wire putting it into petri dishes of blood, and you're like, fuck, what's gonna fucking happen? Fuck.
Sophie, it's sci-fi horror. Nothing is heated up in any context in any other way than with a flamethrower. Marshmallows are roasted with flamethrowers. Water is boiled with flamethrowers. Everything is done with
Why else would you have a flamethrower?
Yes, that's exactly right. So we have this great scene where we go through the various people who it might be.
Some of whom are everyone's tied to a chair.
Everyone's tied to a chair, but
because between times there's become a bit of a concern that McCready might actually be the thing because someone has stashed his trashed overalls somewhere. And because like we've established that like it breaks through your clothes or whatever when you're becoming a thing, people start thinking Mac is, but Mac takes control. He knows himself not to be the thing. He takes control. He comes up with this test. So everyone's tied to chairs, which is so important in the scene. Apart from who is it that's helping him? Is it Windows or is it Knowles? Windows first. So they test Windows first, I guess, because there's only two of them that are not tied up. There's Kurt Russell and Kurt Russell wannabe, dream team. And so Windows is fine. We're good. We try the test. I mean, as far as we can see, because essentially the blood doesn't make a break for it. The blood just, you put the heat in it and it's just hot blood. And then he does himself.
He does himself.
And he's like, I'm going to show you something that I already knew all along. Like, I'm fine. Yeah. And then Childs is raging. Childs is quite an antagonistic person during this, but Childs like, this is all bullshit. Why am I stuck here? Why am I tied to this chair? And then the next person they try is...
What's his name?
Is it Bennings?
No, Bennings is dead. Dr. Copper's dead.
What's the name of that guy? Yeah, the guy they try and... I haven't seen it as many times as you.
Palmer?
Maybe Palmer.
I just know like Clark and Charles and Gary.
Anyway, it's not who you think, basically.
Yeah.
It's not who you think. Gary's kind of protesting vociferously, saying, this is bullshit. It's nonsense. It doesn't
Yeah.
prove anything. And he says, I thought you'd feel that way. We're going to do you last. And he tests the blood that he's kind of like almost as an afterthought. He tests the blood that's in his hand and it goes ballistic. And then this person starts to turn into the thing.
Yeah, it's like that
that's
blood
horrific.
doth protest having the hot wire put in it. And
Yeah.
the equivalent person who's not the person, like it's just
The
And
whole thing.
they're all tied together, and
And
it's
they're all
so horrendous because like so clearly Mac was not expecting this, so he's a bit like shocked and he can't get his flamethrower to work, and everyone's like, you need to get me out of this, like
because he's
people
got
are
it on
tied up.
heat, like heat the wire setting, not flame, like throw flame setting. I think
That's
is
right.
what-
Yeah.
And then Windows is an absolute shambles.
Windows is an absolute shambles. So Windows, he has a flamethrower, correct?
Yeah, and
He
he
has a
just
flamethrower.
can't use it.
The thing leaps up and its head splits open into a mouth and grabs Windows before he can depress the trigger of his flamethrower. And
Yep.
it's just glorious.
Mm.
It's just, again, it's one of those ones. It's like, that was not something I thought was within the realms of possibility. And yet it's happening.
And then it almost looks like you've got a two-legged, because it's like the thing is eaten half of it. It's like that weird, you're like this grotesque monstery. There's like this two leg, but there's a head with it's just,
It's not right, is it?
No, it's
just
not right. I don't
It's
even have the
unsettling.
words. It's just not right.
It's not right.
But by this point, Mac manages to finally get his flamethrower to work.
He manages to
So
throw things, yeah.
he
Burns it.
deals with Palmer. It is Palmer, and Windows, because Windows is done now.
Oh yeah,
Windows is
it's
absolutely-
Palmer because it says in the Wikipedia entry, Palmer thing transforms.
Thing. Got it.
Palmer
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So then they test the others, but we actually establish so of course Mac is fine, Windows was fine but is no more. Knowles was fine, roller skating dude. And
We're all fine.
Hmm?
Everyone's fine.
Everyone's fine now. Childs is fine.
Mhm.
And who was last? Oh, the other one was Gary. So Gary, who we were expecting, they're still, so once they deal with the ones that we knew were the thing, they test everyone else, and everyone else is actually human.
Yeah.
Or certainly their blood doesn't react in the way that that the Palmer thing one does. So what they then decide, which I still think is just wild, given that we've established that little bits of the thing can break off and still infect people, but so you really shouldn't leave anyone on their own. But what they decide is that Gary, Mac, and Knowles are going to leave Childs on his own, because they're going to go to where they locked up Blair, because Blair was locked up on his own, and he had been like begging to get out at one point and going, please don't leave me. I keep hearing things out here. Don't leave me out here on my own. But they go to just see, and basically they say to Childs, if he arrives back without any of us, or
Kill
one
him.
of us, like kill him, like this is,
Goodbye.
it's, yeah, basically. So Childs is left on his own, which I still think is just, there's
rough
4 of
work.
you. Maybe leave 2 and 2. We know that some folk are human, like leave 2 and 2, but for some reason,
Especially because all you're gonna go do is like test Blair, who is like one person.
one person.
It's still gonna be 2 people trying to,
So 3 of them go up to the shed that that Blair is stored in, and when they open it, he is gone. And how can he be gone? Because it was locked from the outside.
outside. They even say it, but we saw it, but they say it as well. It was locked from the outside. Where did he go?
This is a bit of a funny one. There's a bit of a weird plot hole here because the door is open, but we established shortly after that he escapes through the floor.
Also, though, he escapes through the floor, but they pull up the floorboards that have like snow ice on them. And I just feel like that's not, like, where did it, even if it blew in, like the way that it had settled on the floorboards that we pull up, that we established that he escaped through, I was like, I just don't feel like it would have settled that way that quickly.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
looks like an undisturbed
So
floor.
the snow is aberrant, and also he apparently escaped through the floor, got up to the surface, went round, opened the door, went back under the floor, and then continued with what he was
Yeah,
doing.
like that bit, it did perplex me slightly.
Yeah. It was almost
Anyway, Blair got
door,
out.
the door was left open so that they had something to exclaim.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but yeah, Blair got out.
Blair gets out and they go under the shack to find out what he's been doing, and they find a wee flying saucer.
He's just been building a fucking spacecraft.
Yeah,
from
like
using
bits from the helicopter that was on.
That's why the door is open. That's why the door is open, because he has to go get the bits from the helicopter.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's been getting spare
Okay,
parts.
Take
from-
it back.
Yeah, yeah.
Take it fucking back.
He's been getting spare
Okay.
parts from all the equipment outside.
Just the
Making
snow is
a
weird. Just the
tiny
snow is weird.
spacecraft. Yeah,
The snow is weird, and that's it.
the snow's weird. That's not how it settles. Anyway, yeah. So he's been salvaging helicopter parts to build a tiny flying saucer.
Yeah.
To go where? Anywhere but here.
Anywhere but
Yeah.
here. Also enjoyed that line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
So at this point, we go back and we see that Childs is run off.
Yeah.
Childs is bloody run off.
Maybe we
Some
should
lights go out
And the power
it's-
goes off.
Yeah, not good.
So they go to check the generator room, and they find that it's completely destroyed and that they've got
Yes.
no hope.
Well, no, the generator is gone.
It's
gone.
gone.
Oh, yeah, because it's gone. He's like,
It's gone,
can,
McCready.
can we fix it? No, it's gone.
gone.
It's
Gone.
actually gone. Yeah, I like that bit too.
So McCready surmises that the thing intends to return to hibernation. It's gonna, what it wants is just to sleep, have a
Wait
wee
it out.
sleep in, wait
Yeah.
for the rescue team to turn up, infect them, get civilization, do its
Just like
business.
fuck up the planet.
Yeah. So at this point, they kind of form this nihilistic death pact whereby they're going to explode everything.
Everything, including the thing.
Yes, including the thing, and not survive themselves to prevent the thing from getting back to civilization.
Just, it was like, look, it's very like big of them, but it's also the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Humanity, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, right on board with it. I mean, everyone is right up for it very quickly.
It's very good. Yeah, they're clearly like a group of sensible people. Except
Yeah.
that one time they left Childs all by himself and they left.
Yeah, weirdly. But then while they're trying to do the destroying, first of all, Gary goes off on a wee wander, and Gary disappears. It's a very one by one type thing. Gary disappears, clearly is taken up, and then Knowles goes, "Oh, what's going on? Where's Gary? What's happening?" And he goes to try and find him, and he disappears. And then suddenly we're left with just Matt going, "Where's my team?
Where's everyone gone?
Where's everyone gone?" And we've lost the other two. And then we get a wee scary moment with.
Well, Gary gets hand in his
Oh
face.
yeah, that's awful. So Sophie, also, I wanted to do that to Dave while we were watching it, because I was like, how would you feel like death by hand? And he wasn't for it.
Was not enamored of the idea.
But what I love about it is because it's such a silent death as well, because it's like hand and face. But then you get this scene where you see the hand like in face dragging him off. So like the hand has become a bit of it's gross.
It's gross.
It's gross, but so
It's
good.
very good, but like, yeah, again, fucking disgusting.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
So he's away. Then Knowles goes to see what's happened to him. He just vanishes.
Yeah,
We don't see what happens to Knowles.
Mhm.
And McCready's like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Silence. Just as he's primed the detonator for all the TNT, because they're gonna blow everything to shit up.
Yeah.
And at this point, the thing kind of explodes from the floor.
Oh, scary floor.
Yeah,
Scary
okay, I
floor.
feel like that is a very effective scene. So it's like in the thing, whatever, and it's like you hear the noises and you're looking and there's the sounds and it's like the darkness. And I feel like that's because, like it takes a little bit to get me scared, and I'd forgotten about that bit. And like that is, I wouldn't say I was like scared, but it was like properly tense. I was like, you have built this moment beautifully.
Absolutely, man. What could be more tense than like being in the dark, having the camera looking into the middle dark distance as someone pulls up the detonator of a TNT? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like The scene is primed, man.
No, it's a very good scene, and it was just like tense, and I was like, "You've got me. You've fucking got me here. What is going down now?"
Glorious. So the floor explodes.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
And some tentacles come out and they take the detonator.
Yeah.
This is maybe
I actually think, interestingly, I think this is actually the first instance of stop motion animation in the film when the tentacles come up and grab the detonator. I think before that, it's all been puppets and reverse photography. There's been a lot of like tentacles that move that have been reversed to make them appear as though they're moving out the way.
Yeah.
I think this is the first bit of stop motion animation. Takes it away. And then basically we just get this extended sequence of the thing revealing itself to be a huge, gross dog.
Fucked.
Non-person.
It's horrendous. It's
Yeah.
horrendous. And it's enormous. It's enormous.
huge.
It's huge. Yeah.
McCready says the only thing he can say, which is "fuck you too." Throws a stick of dynamite at it and blows everything the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's great.
It's very good.
And then we enter the end of the film, the last scene of the film, which is the last iconic scene of the film. In a film that has several.
Yeah, as we've established, several iconic moments.
And everything's on fire, but it's dark, it's nighttime, everything's on fire.
They're in the middle of fucking Antarctica.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The place is screwed.
Place is screwed. McCready's having a drink, obviously. We find him we leave him much as we found him, which is drinking from a bottle of scotch.
Yeah.
And Childs turns back up and is like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And McCready's like, "Oh, well,
so where did you go? What's going on?" Yeah.
And obviously the lingering question is, okay, well, if there's one of them, McCready's himself, but like if there's two of them, could one of them be the thing? Like it's and that's the beautiful, beautiful point of the movie, is that as soon as there's more than one person, there is suspicion. As soon as there's a plural, you have suspicion. And that's just fucking great. And it leaves us on this absolute cliffhanger of, could either of them be the thing and be about to attack the other?
But it's this glorious moment where both of them are in such a terrible state given what's going on, that it's basically like, well, there's nothing either of us can do about it. So it's essentially like, let's just share a drink and see what happens. Yeah. And it's so good.
Go with our drink. That's it. We're done. Yeah. Beautiful. Great choice, Dave. Fuck.
Yeah, thanks. I was really pleased with all of it.
I just, again, so like, I've seen it far less than you guys have, I would presume. And I feel like, every time I've seen it, I've enjoyed it. But it's like every time I've seen it as well, it's like, as I said, I just forget how fucking viscerally gross it is. Like it just, there's no way you can watch this movie and just not be like in raptures of it's just fucked. It's just so fucked, guys. It's
also the version we watched, which is on Stan, is the 4K like HDR version of it.
Well, I mean, I watch on Stan, but my TV is just like a pleb TV.
Yeah, but it's like it was like watching it again. Like it looks great.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Yeah, how'd you go? Did you enjoy it?
So I love this film. I love it because it's like space horror, but on ground and isolation. And like, I mean, if I'm going to argue about it to some extent, and I don't want to criticize your film, but like, I do find it always hard when there's like no women in a film. I do find it hard. But saying that, I mean, I do really like this film. I do love Kurt Russell in it. But I was saying, and again, this is probably going to be spoilers for you, Sophie, if you've not seen the prequel. But the thing that I found interesting watching it this time, watching the prequel straight before this one, was, so when I've seen this film so many times, and I was always left with this feeling that Mac is probably not the thing, because we've been following Mac throughout and we've seen him destroy it and whatnot. Yeah. But I was always left watching this with this, Childs is likely to be the thing, because why the hell did he disappear, whatnot? And that has always been how I've interpreted this movie. But one of the challenges, if you're watching the prequel, is that there's this whole thing about how the thing can't take on organic materials. So there's a whole thing, sorry, spoiler, Sophie, but there's a whole thing in the prequel where she's able to, one of the women scientists in the prequel is able to identify someone not being the thing because he's got an earring. And all the way, and it gets to the end and something happens with it, but like ultimately she's able to see, well, you've actually got something in your ear that is clearly man-made, therefore you're not the thing. And what I realized right at the end of this film, and maybe again watching it for the first time on our nice big TV and in this, like, Childs has an earring in. Childs has an earring. And so watching it after the prequel, I was like, oh, right, so they're both okay. And I still don't think it detracts from my general enjoyment of the film, but it really changed my interpretation of it from the first time I saw it. Now, Dave has a way, like you with my with Event Horizon and trying to counter any of the criticisms. Dave has a way of countering my criticism.
I have an in-universe explanation.
This is good. Whereas my Event Horizon one is like, I just don't want to. I just like, you can tell me and I'll listen, and it's dead ears. Anyway, Dave, tell me.
But in-universe explanation is because the events of The Thing happen after the events of The Thing, the prequel 2011 film. It could be that the organism has a way of communicating with itself. So if it's been given the information that I can identify you by the lack of things like earrings,
you could fire an earring in.
You could chuck an earring back in, like maybe stop and pick that shit back up after you've assimilated someone.
So you would theoretically have the earring whole because you've made an exact organic replica of a person with a hole in their ear.
So with that in mind, my question for you then, because we did chat about this the other day there, and I went, oh, okay, cool, I'll go with that. But still, my interpretation of the film this time was so different to prior. But do you, and you, Sophie, did you come away with thinking that Childs probably is the thing at the end of the film? Did you think that? Was that what I was left with? But you both maybe just didn't mind, whereas that bothered me going, I think that's the thing. And then this thing, this earring, detracted from that.
I don't know. I feel like the feeling that I was left with at the end of the movie was just like hopelessness. And I don't know if I was necessarily focusing on the fact that, because I was like, yeah, where the fuck has he been? Like this whole time, all this shit has been going down. But like, I don't think I guess like in my head, it's like, he could be this. Oh no! So, yeah, no. Because I was like if he's the thing or not, regardless, they're all going to die in the snow. But if he's the thing, he's not going to die in the snow. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I just didn't. I was like, fuck. I feel like that's how I was just like, yeah, fuck.
Yeah, because I guess ultimately it doesn't really matter, and even them both being human doesn't really matter. But I think that lack of ambiguity for me.
But I wonder if part of it for me is just like not having seen it as many times. So like not only like as in like there were lots of things that were very familiar, but like I wouldn't have, I know like vaguely the storyline, but I wouldn't have been out. There weren't so many things that I could focus on in detail because it was kind of like watching it for the first time. Even though I saw it this year, obviously I've not remembered a single thing that I've done this year. But yeah, so I wonder if it was more just like, because I'd forgotten that Childs had disappeared and then reappeared. Yeah, I don't know. Now I feel like I need to watch it again, but I need to watch it.
I don't know.
Also, I don't know if I would have, had we not watched them so sequentially, would I even have noticed it? But it was just, Sophie, I pick up on things that stick in my brain. And all the way through, having seen the prequel before as well, the earring thing was prominent in my mind from starting watching.
So all you're doing is looking for people's earrings the whole way.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, sure. So then watching that and then watching the 1982 one, I was on alert for things on people's bodies that because also like Dave and I had a chat about would we know if each other was an alien? Of course, that's where my brain went. And I mean, I've got like 8 piercings, so I was like, Dave, like seriously, because I was worried about my fillings because I've got fillings. So we were chatting about how we would know. And so it was in my head anyway from watching the prequel. And then this happened and I was a bit like, but still.
Does that mean we can't work out if Dave is a thing? Dave, what's your inorganic matter in your body?
I've got a filling.
Oh, so is your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got feelings too. Mine are composite resin. Is that organic or inorganic?
I don't know. Mine is like a big cheap filling because it's like my back most.
Ultimately, the issue is,
Depends on
Sophie,
her.
if your fillings are white as well, we've got problems. So I've got fillings, but they're
Oh no,
white.
so mine are white because my fillings are from the fact that I grind my teeth
But you've got a
horribly.
nose piercing.
I got nose piercing. Okay, I'm fine.
Okay, you're all right. All right,
The
Sophie.
best of things have worked it out.
Yeah. Any final thoughts from you, Sophie?
No, it's really good. Yeah, so I like it as again, like I would say this is probably maybe only the third time because I definitely when I watched it with, as I said, I think I watched it recently with JP. That would have been at the beginning of this year or the end of last year. That wasn't the first time I'd seen it, but I reckon maybe like I'd only seen it maybe like once before or something. And it actually reminded me of when we saw, what is the batshit, Color Out of Space.
Oh yeah.
And then you'd actually got, and it was like, I remember like us commenting that they were like very The Thing monsters.
Yes.
Oh
And-
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, it just made me think of that being like, because I just forgot how those monsters are great. They're such good monsters. They're just, you can't help but feel when those monsters are around. It's like
absolutely.
whatever it is, it's like this, like, am I scared? Am I disgusted? Am I whatever? But they're just, it's like visceral. They're just fucking, I think there's visceral for me is the perfect word to describe this movie. But then also like it's a good movie, Dave.
Yeah, great bag gear. Love
It's
it.
a good movie, yeah.
And my favorite thing about it is the lack of clarity about
I think you're like the lack of women.
no, the lack of women. The fact that there's
the opposite of my issue with the film.
All right, the lack of
not a
clarity.
womb to be seen.
All right.
No, my favorite thing is the lack of clarity regarding where the agency of the replicated individual starts and finishes. Like they never really clarify that. So, like for example, Blair, it's revealed is a thing, but Blair goes mental and goes to his shack.
Yeah.
So is it advantageous to the Thing to behave in that way? Because like if he's made Blair and made Blair's neural pathways and is acting like Blair, then he's behaving in this way.
Oh, see, that's really interesting because I always assumed that it got to Blair after his freak out.
Could be.
I thought it was when Blair was in isolation, completely on his own.
Yeah,
I thought it was after that.
But same point.
Yeah.
Like same point. Norris with his heart attack. Does Norris have the heart attack because the Thing wants to create confusion, or because he's replicated Norris so exactly that he's created an individual who's about to have a heart attack?
Because if you look at him, it's just like, Norris is a heart attack waiting.
So there's these two things. There's the replicated individual and the Thing, and their intentions are kind of in conflict. And it's never really made clear how that conflict is resolved. So you never really understand how the Thing operates. And I think that's why it's a truly scary, fantastic monster.
Yeah.
So good. Gross. Fucking disgusting.
And gross.
Great.
I will continue to watch this film at least like annually as we tend to do. I love this film. I think it's great.
I have to add it to my repertoire then, because I feel like 100% like Event Horizon is, probably more than annually for me. But I feel like I could I really enjoyed it. I forget how I wouldn't, if someone's like tell me your favorite horror movies, I wouldn't think to say The Thing, but I think it's because it's just my lack of experience and the lack of Dave who loves it.
Yeah, as I say, Dave introduced me to it at 19, I believe, and watched it many times since, and still love it. Still one of the best films you've introduced me to, and good job, Dave.
Thanks.
So it's me next week,
and we're watching The Shining, which
yes.
I love.
Like both of you, I have many choices I could have had, but if we talk about one that I watched quite a long time ago and keep coming back to, it's The Shining. So that's what we're doing for next week.
And I think I haven't seen that for at least a year. I reckon the last time I saw The Shining was in cinema. I think it was at the Ritz, and it was last Halloween, and it was the extended version, which I'd never seen before because I didn't know it existed. But I think I could watch The Shining till I died, so I'm quite excited. I mean, to be honest, I'm always excited for a horror club because I like to watch horror and then talk about it and drink gin while I do that. But pumped.
Great.